Hey everybody, it's Kneecap here, and welcome to Monday Morning Gamer, where we go over the past weekend's WoW esports. This past weekend was AWC, so Arena Circuit, the week 2 of that. So we'll be going over PvP arena stuff from the AWC. Just like last week, I chose 5 topics that interested me and hopefully interest other people, and that'll be what we're focusing on. So the first topic I have is rogues are insane. So rogues are back. That'd be another way to put it. Some of the best games this weekend featured rogues playing, whether that was Peekaboo playing, whether that was Aiden playing, whether that was Waz playing his rogue. We had some really high level rogue play, and they are incredibly strong right now. We've basically seen, because the rogue buffs, they've been able to counter some of the other things that were really causing trouble. For whatever reason, Warcraft fans in general, the viewers, the people who make the game, whatever, all seem to be okay when Rogue is really strong and destroying range classes, but not okay like when Ret was doing it, right? When Ret was doing it, that wasn't okay. But Rogue's doing it is okay, and that's fine because overall it is what it is. I think Rogues are a natural PvP class. I think the game tends to put things into what it kind of fits thematically, and in this case that would make sense. Rogues can stealth, they have all these unique crowd control and smoke bomb, all this kind of stuff. So that makes sense to me. I'm fine with rogues being strong, and that's why it's a topic. Otherwise I'd be complaining about it. So rogues are strong. They've been able to really counter. It looked like the fire mages, for example. You'd have a mage like maybe having to play frost instead of fire, and just rogues just really pumping out the damage, really countering the shadow play, the warlocks and stuff like that. Just with the immense damage, good enough survivability with all their cooldowns, and then also able to perform crowd control, which something like as I mentioned earlier, Rat Paladin can't do. Even like a warrior can't necessarily do. Perform good crowd control, and so you see that, and then you also then see someone playing like a warrior again, because warriors kind of got a little bit out of fashion, not completely. We're still seeing warriors consistently, but then the warriors are like, well, we're gonna stick to the rogue then, and I'll let the rogue tear through us. So you're seeing a lot of counterplay with the rogues coming in as well. Overall, I think it's very important to have a diversity between range and melee. The weekend before, we saw almost exclusively range play, outside of like a random jungle team that had a feral, or which would typically just be Cassidy, the player, feral druid, and then you'd have like some warriors sprinkled in. But the other weekend we saw almost exclusively ranged players, and we did see a couple turbos, which did not go well this week, which I'll talk about as well. But rogues are back. Rogues are really strong. They have multiple covenants they can play. Well, at least Venthyr and Necro. I think most of them were playing Necro, although I think there was at least one flagellation. So they're back. They're really strong. It makes counterplay better when there is a really strong melee. Like, it doesn't technically matter what it is. Warrior is a little bit different, because Warrior, you're going to get the same things always. Rogue, it's a little bit more of an interesting challenge, I think. So Rogue is back. If you like rogues, that's great. If you hate rogues, you might be annoyed by it. But it is what it is, and it made for a very entertaining show, which is how I'm framing this as this video, these videos. I'm framing it as I'm watching a show. I'm watching a show of an esport. So in that case, it was definitely good. All right, on to the second topic. So last week I let it be known my favorite teams that I've enjoyed watching, and my favorite team to enjoy watching is Creed. And last week they played a turbo, I believe Warrior with Enhancement Shaman, I believe is what they played. I hope I'm not wrong on that. That'd be embarrassing, but I believe that's what they played. Warrior Enhancement Shaman Turbo, and it worked really well for them. And then this week it was just completely blown out of the water. They still played fine, but I do not think this is a viable comp right now in the meta. I think Enhancement Shaman is too similar to Rat. Yes, they have unique things they can do, like Purge and they have a little bit more unique cooldowns, whereas like a rat paladin just has his bubble essentially. Yes, they have the shield, but it barely absorbs anything overall. So you have bubble, which can also be dispelled as well. So the enhancement shaman does have some unique things that can make it strong, but it did not look good. It did not look good. I think it's too close to the rat. I don't think the 2 melee is where you want to be right now. Uh, you know, just because rogues came back doesn't mean melee's back, and it did not look good. So they did lose. They played well for what they had, in my opinion. I was hoping maybe we would see a switch of comp, like just throw something else out there at them, because it clearly wasn't working. But there's an opportunity too just to talk about that in general. We saw another, I can't remember off the top of my head, another team was playing the same turbo. They didn't do very well. The 2 melee teams just did not do very well at all. And unfortunately that's the case, because you're going to have a lot of lack of diversity as far as the classes when you can't play melee, or at least the specs. I think spec diversity is more important than class diversity, in my opinion, because you could have a paladin, but paladin can be a DPS or a healer, right? So you want them to play both. Whereas like priest is a good one. Priest, you heal, or you can play shadow priest, pretty strong right now. So both of those are good options. So that's a good spec. That's a good spec diversity, is priest. Paladin is terrible spec diversity. Rogues have decent spec diversity, because you can play subtlety, even though assassin is king right now. And then mage has good spec diversity with frost and fire. So you have some things with good spec diversity. You have some things that don't even have class representation, let alone spec representation, and that's not good. And hopefully we can see. In particular, hopefully we see Creed go to something that's going to work a little bit better. They're known for their uniqueness, and they're trying new things. So I really hope they don't just come in with another turbo try. Hopefully they have something up their sleeve. Maybe they put together two powerful classes that we haven't seen together traditionally, and see what they can do with that. And then the very next topic has to do with the diversity. So there was a lot of diversity this weekend in comps, just not in the specs or classes like I was mentioning. So that's what made it so fun to watch this weekend. Was there's a ton of comp diversity. There's tons of counter picks. I think that's a good thing that there even is counter picks. Early in the patch, there was basically almost no counters for certain things. Like it looked like warrior mage were just going to be the most powerful thing ever, and then they're like, oh, well, maybe it's going to be Ellie and mage, and maybe it's going to be, it's like, but it was like mage plus OP class, and it just seemed unstoppable. Heck, last week I was predicting that Shadow Play was going to be that with Warlock and Shadow Priest. However, the Rogue completely shut that down. We even saw a monk taking a Warlock to task as well. So you're seeing these counter picks being picked to fight these specific teams that are very powerful, and I think that's very good. There's certain classes that are very good against other classes. And I would like to see that play out even more. Honestly, I think you can open yourself up to playing things that aren't traditionally played in Arena or aren't currently played in Arena if you're just counter picking your opponent. We see counter picking in all kinds of other games. I think it makes it very interesting. Like, oh, they're picking this to counter that, right? And that can be extremely powerful. Now, there isn't always a counter. I think that's the issue. Like I said early in the patch, there wasn't necessarily a counter for some of these top teams. There was really nothing that could stop it. You were just hoping to outplay them with CC or get lucky or have them mess up, not press immunity or something, and get a kill. Whereas what you're seeing, and we saw a ton of that as well this weekend, people just not pressing their buttons that they had available. So, very fun. The diversity makes it more fun. That there was multiple people, the casters. I saw multiple people just commenting that this was like the best week of AWC, at least this year. And it was because of this. This is because of all these controversies, all these different counter picks make the series last longer. They're not necessarily sweeps all the time when you're counter picking. And it's really interesting. Then you can also counter pick with maps. That we always see. We always see the counter picking with maps, typically. But you're seeing counter picking with maps and specs / classes. So I really enjoyed that. I thought that was really great, and honestly it was one of the best weekends to watch. The next topic is, so this is feeding off of one of last week's, and it's to please retire Rat from the AWC right now. it is hard for me to watch. I'm a Ret main. If you follow my channel at all, then it might even be because of my Ret guides or Ret Paladin Order Hall or something like that that I've done. And it is hard for me to watch these Ret Paladins play in Arena. I'm not a PvP master. I always have to like specify that because there might be reasons why they're doing it. But if even if there is a reason, if you have to play the way they're playing, then you just can't play the spec. You can't. It's terrible. So I think Kara was the only one. I don't want to single Kara out. This has been all the Rets, and I think that's why they've stopped playing them, right? That's why we've seen them completely drop out. And you see, so there's only one example this week. I'm not singling out Kara. I'm sure Kara is a great Ret Paladin, a great PvP player, probably better than me, right? But they were just using their Final Reckoning just completely randomly. It does a decent amount of damage, right? But it's like they're using it just to like do a little bit of damage. Now, yes, they probably have Holy Power banked up, and they're probably planning on maybe putting a Templar's Verdict or two into it, but that's just not enough. So if you don't know, Final Reckoning is the reticle ability the Ret Paladins can have with a talent. When you use this ability, it causes the opponent to take 50% more damage from Holy Power abilities, which is for Ret, Judgment, Templar's Verdict. I don't think Wake of Ashes. I think that's Radiant. The Execution Sense goes well with it, but they typically don't use that in Arena. And so you want to just put all your Holy Power. So yes, you do want to put Templar's Verdicts into it, but I'm just seeing this Divine Toll. You shouldn't even be playing Kyrian the way that they are playing. If the way they're playing, they might as well play like Venthyr or play since it's threes. Maybe try Night Fae, Ret for Arena and like buff up your teammates and stuff too with the Blessing of the Seasons, because this is not good. They're using Final Reckoning and not putting anything into it sometimes literally nothing. So not even a Templar's Verdict with 50% more damage. So they're just using it. They're just using it to use it. They're using Divine Toll randomly. Ideally, what you want to do is, since they're not using Execution Sentence, there's going to be one time where you Final Reckoning, Divine Toll, and then put as many Templar Verdicts in as you can after that. And then with Wings, obviously you want to Wings, Reckoning, Divine Toll, because the Divine Toll is Holy Power or Holy Damage. So it's getting the extra effect from the Final Reckoning. And this is just very basic stuff that I guarantee Kara knows. I guarantee all the Rets know. And I'm guessing, like I said, that they're having to spend the Divine Toll to get Holy Power to heal, unfortunately. That would be my guess. Like, if I had to take a random guess on what it is that they're using it because they feel like they need to heal themselves. And that is probably the case, right? But if it is the case, then you just can't play it. The heals aren't strong enough anymore after the nerf. With that, before the healing nerf, that was completely good. It was a good use of Holy Power or a good use of your Divine Toll even to get the Holy Power to heal yourself. But not anymore. It's not playable anymore. It makes me sad. I wish it was. But if you're playing right now in Arena, you need to be attacking, because you need to be the one of the highest damages in there, and you can be. But you need to be attacking. You can't be playing super passive. You can't be throwing out your moves willy-nilly just to throw them out. It makes no sense. You see rogues hold on to their cooldowns forever for the perfect setup. It's not exactly like that because we don't have things to do perfect setups. We can't just go hop around the map, cheap shot at everything, and then smoke bomb. But you do want to make sure that you're comboing your moves together, and it's just not happening. So let's say goodbye to Ret, unless they buff our WOG back up or just give us some sort of buff in general. I think it's time to say goodbye to Ret and AWC, unless, of course, you're facing, honestly, if you're facing a squishy team, for example, that's squishy against melee. Maybe it's really good against Wizards or something, but it's extremely squishy against melee. Maybe then you could bring in a Ret, but other than that, I don't think so. I don't see it. All right, last up, the weekly thing we're going to be doing is our top picks for each NA and EU. Our top pick to kind of like just as our best team, our top pick meaning our favorite team, not just favorite team, but just the best team. I'm going to be a little bit boring this week. I'm going to stick with the same teams. So for EU, I'm going to stick with Creed. I'm going to stick with Creed because I think so they were playing this turbo and it looked awful, and they still played really well. I think if they were just playing something better, that they would have won, honestly. So I think next time AWC weekend, I think that they come out, they play a viable comp, um, a very powerful comp, and that they pull through and win and stay in the top three, top two maybe, uh, and we'll see if they can continue going after that. But I think that they will pull through for me there, and switch it up a little bit. Maybe not go with that turbo again, unless there's some hot fix between now and then. And then for NA, I'm just going to stick with Golden Guardians. Golden Guardians completely dominated once again this week. Last week, it was on the back of Jelly Beans, the hunter, who came in and just BM hunted everyone to death. And I think maybe they saw the counter plays going on, perhaps, or maybe it's just happening on the ladder at high levels where people are killing the pets really well, because that's what they're trying to do in a lot of the games against hunters, was kill the pets. And maybe like, well, we're just not going to deal with that. So they instead brought in Peekaboo on his rogue, and he slaughtered everything. It kind of takes a little bit away from Upsurge and WizK, because they're not getting the credit even when they're consistently playing. They're not the ones on the bench or whatever. But it definitely felt like watching, right? It felt like Jelly Beans was the damage doer, and now this week Peekaboo was the damage dealer. And it was fun to watch, and they really dominated, and they played really well. They lost their first game almost on a fluke, and then they won the next three to take their series. So I'm going to stick with Golden Guardians. They're playing extremely well at the best time, and I will stick with Creed even though they're coming off a loss. So that's where I'll go with that. So that's the end of this Monday Morning Gamer. Talked about WoW Esports. As always, I do ask you to please subscribe to the channel because that helps me out more than anything else. And other than that, everybody have a good one.